Well, I got to a point where I thought I was almost done with this Jeep steering, but a little bit of lesson learned. Probably should have not made some guesstimations, and I should have put this motor in here before I built these steering swingers, because having a little bit of an issue with the where the crank pulley. This swinger actually needs to be about right here with what I built, so that's not going to end up working. I ended up getting these kind of built and had them mocked up in here and working, and ended up putting the engine in here just before I welded everything in to make sure everything would clear, and turns out it didn't clear. So a little bit of a lesson learned on my behalf. I should have probably had that motor in there when I was mocking all that stuff up. I just kind of made some guesstimations, and I was wrong. So now I've got to start over, which I only got to remake some swingers. All the drag links, the pitman arm, all that stuff is still going to work and be fine. All I really need to do is move these locations down at the Delrin bushings down and get them to clear this and move everything down, which is actually going to help the bolt holes and everything, all the access points. So since I drew all these in CAD already and have everything drawn, it's not going to be that big of a deal either. I just got to take a couple measurements, shrink the things down, and redraw everything and send some DXX files to the plasma table and cut stuff out again. So that is one of the nice things, I guess, of drawing this stuff with CAD, is if you do got to make modifications or changes, it's relatively pretty easy to do that, instead of if you did it with the cardboard template way, which is completely fine. But then you can take your template, you know, maybe you're just trimming down your template and modifying that. But that's what I got to work on now. But I ended up taking a little bit of time to get my shop set up a little bit better. This shop where this was in was kind of my shop that was used for storage, and kind of getting converted over. I had all my stuff kind of spread out through, I have 3 garages at this place, so I had tools in all 3 of them, and making those swingers I was kind of running back and forth. And now I've got everything set up, the welding bench, a grinding bench, got all my tools, got my computer desk up here with my Fusion 360 and cam, and the plasma table. The only thing I don't have in here yet is the plasma table, just because I don't have 240 wired up in here yet. But as soon as I do that, then the table, I'll bring that and move that back in here. But for now, I'm going to draw up some new plates, get all the changes I made, and then yeah, program everything to burn out on plate and get making some new swingers. And that'll allow me to get these things actually hung in here and actually get this thing finished up. So it's been a little while, and getting ready to get this thing finished up and get it back to the owner so he can continue getting the rest of this thing built and get it back out on the sand. So that's what I'm working on today, and probably the next couple days, and trying to get this thing wrapped up. So I guess let's get to it. I've got all the main plates for the swingers, the new swingers all cut out now, so now I've got to just assemble them up here and get them all tacked together and kind of weld them up and be able to mock them up on there and draw and get on the side plates on here yet. So I got some welding to do. I'm going to get the welding all set up and get these all tacked together. I've got the swinger kind of mocked up in here now. I've got one bracket tacked up here on this side holding this swinger, kind of just barely in position. It's pretty close, within like 1/8 quarter of an inch. And I'm working on now getting the driver's swinger bracket kind of tacked up. I have this mount that I've started. It's got a tab on the end of the piece of tube here. I need to burn out another one of those now to go into here. It's going to slide over this piece of tube. It's got an overlay on it. It'll get welded and then the bolt will go through there. And then I'm going to end up drawing a tab that is going to go, let's say I'm going to plug weld the end of this tube, make it flat, make a piece of tab that comes up in here onto this section on the back and gets welded around with a hole for this tube to slip into, and then I'll weld that shut. And then I'll probably end up boxing this in somehow with some other plate. And then on this other side, where it's already boxed on the end like I'm going to be doing on this side, I'll end up doing a small tube kicker down to this cross member piece right here. So you probably can't see, but back in there to give support to the back side of that tab, go down to that cross member, so it'll be tied into this cross member, tied into that cross member with this 1-inch, what is this, 120 wall DOM tube. So that's kind of what I'm working on now, kind of a lot that I said there, but that's what I'm working on now, is getting that all mocked up and fully welded, and then getting this welded in here, which will then allow me, I'll have to actually take this little bracket that I have now, there's an overlay that goes on this, I'll have to take this back out, weld the overlay on, there's one for the back side too, and then come back in here, reposition this in its actual position, and then get that bracket welded in, and then the swingers will be mounted. Still have all the side gussets to do, so still a good amount of work left to do. I haven't really filmed necessarily all of the steps to get to this point, but kind of just giving an update where I'm at. There's still just a lot of work to do, a lot of welding, a lot of cutting, a lot of drawing, all that type of stuff. So that's what I'm working on next. Keep on going.